Hello and welcome to TFT World Cup final day, game number 1, semi-finals.
Have at least had 2 or more games on Vanguard Syndra. So they're all able to play it. They all perform really well on there. It's just making sure that you can actually get to that opportunity and realize that situation.
SCSC now in the ground, already here with a casting. He has a rod, so maybe not the best spot to begin. And always good to see having a position of going for portal in the game is one of the best synergies to start the game with. And as we were saying previously, Counter, SCSC has been the hero here. So actually, for him getting direction and the rest of the team already knowing what he's going to play against or with, is a good chance for them to actually funnel resources into him.
So remember, we've got the silver augments coming, as we said before, SCSC, absolutely outrageous player. We will be looking to see if any of our players do manage to find something spicy on the silver tier.
We do have only a 2-item start as well, which you can see a lot of players already have above 10 gold. So this is going to be really impactful in terms of the way that the game is going to be played out. A lot of players might be trying to lose streak early on to try and reach that 50 gold interest as soon as possible, which we know is so important for that 3-2 roll down to try and hit your 2 costs. So I think that's going to be a very interesting adaptation. But a Kali 2-star to start things off as well for Huame.
Yeah, Caretaker. So probably that's where the Akali came from. So that vertical will enable him to play either the Akali with the Kassadin, that's their normal play, and there's a universe. I'm not saying we'll see it, but we'll see the Nila. It's a unit that we haven't seen so much. I know Juanmi has played it. He has played it in solo queue so long, but obviously Kassadin is the one who stabilized better on round 3, so that's the normal way to go. But I really would like to see Nila in action here.
No, I would as well. Definitely a composition that has got a fair amount of punch to it. You know, of course, we do have a couple of different approaches we sometimes see with the Caretakers, because you're still getting the unit, even if you don't stay and reroll, so you can find a couple of different routes for the game which can still work.
Totally, you can go tempo, you can go immediately fast 8 and just enjoying it, that you know that you have that unit. But again, I think for Kassadin, makes sense. Kassadin, Panda was telling us he's one-trick Kassadin. I have to say it. Panda, you're a one-trick Kassadin. It's a comp that it will not get the win out, but you want to stabilize at level in 3-2, get a Kassadin 2, and then you want to go to level 9. Play against the Kalista, put preservers in if you can, and now he knows that he will get the other units 3-star immediately. So great for him.
I think it's about the position of knowing how strong you are at 3-2. Like, am I strong enough to keep leveling? Am I strong enough to maybe roll down a little bit more? I think adapting and understanding what position you're in terms of knowing if you can stay healthy enough at 3-2 will allow you to push levels and save HP.
Well, speaking of taking early damage, Huame has gone to level 5 already, so it's really putting down some pressure from the top of the table. 2-star Kali, of course, already in place, but could be the one to be the front runner, at least in the early going for Twisted Minds.
Yeah, double Eldritch here. I'll did for the start, and that means we have the Syndra player here in Bobe. So Bobe is still with the Syndra, but you were calling it out, Stuart. There's only a 2-item start, 2-component start, so that means that they will not be able to give Syndra easily an item to generate mana or generate speed. So that will delay a lot the ramp up for the Syndra. This is very important because, as we know, Syndra, it starts good, but in the late game, there is where it ramps up and needs a lot of stacks.
Yeah, well, at least we see Dunizuni with the Pandora. So if you don't have a lot of components, at least you're trying to make sure they are the correct ones. Dunizuni with a couple of early wins. We'll see if he can keep it going up against 60-second. We've got the red buff. We've got the Nila in place. It may not be the re-roll, but at least she's getting a little moment in the sun.
She gets a bit of love to start things off. I mean, this board at the moment for Huame is absolutely incredible. The Akali 2, the Nila 2 combo. I don't think Huame is going to be losing around anytime soon. I think this is why he leveled to level 5 so early. He wants to put the pressure on the lobby. He wants to deal as much damage as possible. Yes, he might be dealing more damage to his teammates as well, but he does more damage to the members of T1 as well. So Huame already looking an incredible spot to try and keep the tempo up in this lobby.
There's a Kassadin there in the carousel. Could be griefed by some of the players, and there's some possibilities to hear in some of the comms live. So that's also very interesting to realize and to see what could be the play here. Communication here on carousel, very important for them to make sure they get the resources where they want it.
Yeah, it was actually Bintum and Bobe actually talking there, deciding who takes the glove and who takes the tier. So who actually prioritizes what item, because you can see them hovering, and it's so important in the carousel, with both these players loose streaking and being outside first, what items do I prefer? What units do I prefer as well?
I do want to, of course, update the most important stat of the one, which is SPG, the Spug. the Syndras per game. We have got 5 different players running Syndra right now. And some of them, as we see from UA here, have got pretty good itemization, even with relatively limited components.
Yeah, getting the Shojin here is huge. That will mean he will ramp up immediately. Juanmei, once again. Nila 2, the Akali also getting the Jack, so he's stable. He hasn't slammed. Once again, the low resources will make a difference here. So on the left, we have Juanmei still with the win streak without slamming item, and on the right, again, with the limpid Dunisuni. So both of them are the ones who want to maintain this win streak, Stuart. Very important to preserve XP and to get resources for the late game.
Yeah, I mean, win streaking so important. Streaking in general, really important in this 4 versus 4 format, just trying to get that extra little bit of gold, especially because most of these players are aggressively rolling down at 3-2. The more gold you have at 3-2, the more gold you can roll down to try and stabilize your board as well. But to be fair, I don't even know if Juanmei is even going to be leveling. I mean, we're going to be rolling or leveling anytime soon. He's so healthy. He's on that 4 streak at the moment, and he's probably praying that he comes up against Dunazuni, because I think that he can actually beat him and ruin that streak.
You know, speaking of streaks, I do believe, we'll check in a second once this round is done, but there could be some very important streaks coming out of this round.
Yeah, Bintium and Bobai, just as you were saying, counter both in the same team, both with the lose streak. So they don't want to face against each other. That's the way they want to avoid it. And they are. So only one of them will maintain. There's the thumb up for Bintium. So one of them will get great economy and the other will be punished.
I mean, certainly you want your player with a stim pack to be able to take the L's, especially when you know the long-term plan here has got to involve the Syndra much more than it would ever involve the Kog'Maw.
I think it's just a situation right now that's like the communication has to come in as like, who is in a better position to try and cap out? Who's in a better position where you want that extra gold onto the units? They seemed like they want Bintum to keep on this lose streak right now. It was a little bit close. 1 unit loss. Okay, business coming in the end for both these 2 players. So not a bad loss for Bintum, but keeping that streak means that he can roll down a little bit of gold. He's only 1 Kog'Maw away for getting that Kog'Maw 2-star early on, which could be a pretty big spike.
Check him in with Juanmei, yeah, of course. That Caretaker's ally means that he has been very strong during the early going, along with Snowy, who's only on a slightly lesser streak. Twisted Minds, after having seen one of the streaks broken for T1, are coming out of stage 2, looking really strong.
Snowy here also with the Caretaker, probably the Galio is the one that we're seeing here. So he wanted to get the Syndra, he didn't get the Syndra early to make sure he get the Vanguard with the Galio. So now I think he will have to play a tempo, maybe try to go for that vertical portal if he get an augment that enables him to do it.
Yeah, you can see as well that Dinazuni actually did lose his streak in the end. So we did see that Juanmei and Dinazuni were the 2 players on the streak. Now it's actually both Twisted Mind players on the win streak as well. So they're going to be looking to aggressively level, try and play tempo, and try and take down some of these members, because we know that the likes of Bintum and Bobe are lose streaking to try and get as much economy as possible.
And of course, if you're here for the previous times we saw Snowy, I just want to bring it to the forefront again. It's a player we saw being heavily contested in games before and still managing to do incredibly well. He's a very dangerous player indeed. But as we come into stage 3, Juanmei and Snowy, they've got to collide at some points. We have the same conversation we had for T1 before. Who's going to take the ball and run with it, at least during the early game? Yeah,
I love to talk about Snowy a little more. This is a player that he's not the hero of the game. He has the lowest AVP, but he's helping. He get in the rock or the support role, so he's always helping the team. He's communicating, and he's trying not to go 8th even in a bad position. So that's very important. And once again, Snowy is up against Juanmei. He's with 50 seconds. He's CUA. These are champions. These are they have been in worse stages so many times. So Snowy being here, he knows it's an opportunity to improve even his game even more.
Yeah, to prove himself as well. You know, coming into this, I think he's a player that not a lot of players even knew about coming into this, and not even us talent as well. He's a player that's only been competing for a little while in terms of the scene over in China, but in terms of being on the global stage and in such a big format, it's going to be so huge. But I think this could be a huge win here for Snowy. It is Dinazuni now going to be on a 2-loss streak. So Juanmei and Snowy still not playing against each other.
Yeah, it's been very lucky so far as we get into the second augment and see how long Twisted Mind can keep on dominating. As you said, too healthy. It's almost always just going to be the choice.
I mean, you see it straight away. You don't even need to re-roll the other augments. I think you're in the situation. I think you just re-rolled the other augments just in case. But yeah, as you can see, Syndra 2-star upgraded, already has a bunch of 2 costs on his board. He can try and get extras as well. Early Rise on the bench could be a possibility. Early Nami on the bench as well. So a really, really nice roll down here for SC, and obviously going to be helping in terms of the items with their silver augment.
Yeah, not holding the Catherine to help the team. He knows they're in a good position. He needs to save those roles for the other game. Siyue, now with the Syndra 2, he finds this stabilization so important counter. Maybe lacking a little frontline, not items, but 3 items of that Syndra to funnel that scaling into the late game.
And it seems like the Caretakers was actually the Nila in the end. I thought it was actually the Akali at the start, but it's actually the
we're
Nila.
going to see the Nila!
We're back, baby, we're back. Which is actually crazy because we saw at the start there was a 2-star Akali and 2-star Nila, so we was like, which one is going to be the Caretakers? But it's actually Nila, so Hwame going to be playing this aggressive style of trying to roll for the Nila. Has the Eldritch emblem as well, so he's going to be trying to get in that huge massive summon.
All right, Hube, you were the most excited to see Nila in here. Convince us, make us believe that Nila 3 is the hidden tech that just hasn't been unleashed yet.
Is it better than Syndra?
You not ask that question.
Oh, come on,
It's
that's
different.
unfair a
It's
question.
different. It's like you asked me, what's better, apple or lemon? So
They're just different flavors of greatness. I understand.
no, very important. The question you asked, Counter. I mean, Nila is like a dot champion. You wanted her to go like scale maybe with a Ginso, maybe with a Titans. While the Akali is more like an assassin. She goes to the back line. She's able to dash and get that kill. So actually, they synergize in a way. You want to have them maybe spread out or in the same place according to what you want to see, but it will depend on who you're facing. So it's not a tier S comp, but it's one of the first reroll comps that appear that we haven't seen it so far. It's very good to see her here in semifinals.
Interesting enough here, Hwame actually frontlining his Ashe and Syndra. So actually doesn't even want to continue the win streak, it seems like, or maybe in a position where he feels like he can't carry on the win streak, so he'll rather give over kind of the HP in the end to Zui. So really interesting decision there, not allowing his win streak to continue.
A really good catch there. That does seem a surprising choice, but I mean, right now, Twisted Minds, they're looking very good overall, so maybe they can take some of those liberties with the game. I mean, Hwame's certainly gotten enough money from his streak up to this point to say, I'm willing to bat on pass to a teammate.
And once again, communication. You were translating the previous Stuart. You said you knew what they were talking. Can you help us here? What's 60 seconds?
I think I heard Nila 3 in there somewhere.
Oh?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. That's the only thing I heard.
I mean, I don't know about translation, but I am British after all, so I only really know English. And
we've been exposed.
Even outside of even the English dictionary, sometimes it's very limited. So I don't think I'll be translated to Korean anytime soon. But yeah. I mean, both players, especially for T1 as well, the communication is key because most of their players were at the bottom again. So, again, realizing that situation of, hey, do we need to deny Nila items now? Because this is something that the players are not used to. We're used to players denying the likes of Syndra, Kassadin items, but now we need to try and deny the Nila items so that she doesn't become this late game beast.
I do want to draw attention to Binton now, of course, at the center of our screen, and 62nd currently at the bottom. In terms of streaks, again, we're kind of bringing them back into the conversation. We saw a lot of good control from Twisted Mind before. At the moment, they've got the win streak, they've got the loss streak as well. 62nd, the only member of Twisted Mind in the bottom 4, making sure that he's scooping up the cash.
Yeah, he has 5 Syndra there, but as you've been mentioning, there's a lot of Syndra already in the lobby. It will be very hard for anyone that doesn't have additional resources, for example, that prismatic ticket that we saw, to get actually into the Syndra tree. So I don't think we will see it. So most of them will want to go tempo, want to go for the warrior preserved. That is actually karma. It's karma flex. we put it as warrior preserver because there's 2 warriors in the comp, but that's karma flex. So you play Syndra, you cannot get a 3-star. You go level 8, you play Karma, play Preservers, and play good units in your board.
Hubison and Clement were talking about this for so long. This morning when these two were talking, it was like, Warriors Preserver, is it like basically Karma? just with some Warriors Preservers on the front?
You just lift up the mask and say, wait a second, you were Karma the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. It was a bait all along. You just put Karma in every board at the moment. But, I mean, being one of the best 4-course units, no doubt that Karma fits on so many different boards, especially with the Syndra. Works so well with so many of the other units as well. And, it's not just her damage, but it's also her utility of being able to heal as well. These warriors on the front line can take a lot of damage. The healing can also be very important.
Yeah, we know that's one of the options that's considered being taken out of the game in future patches because of how powerful it can be. Siyue, though, on the win streak for Twisted Minds, as Hwame did step aside to allow more room on top. The Syndra looking really good, the 5-round streak. We can see that even with the full upgrades coming in, it's not going to make any difference at all. CUA keeps on streaking. Dunizuni will have to drop down a little bit.
And we go back to where Hwame was actually giving Zizui the win earlier on, you know, stopping Hwame's win streak. But actually, that understanding of knowing that Zui can actually carry on this streak for 5 rounds now, that understanding is incredible for Twisted Minds. You know, understanding that, hey, I can't carry on my streak because I'm not strong enough. Let's give that win streak over to someone else and let's kind of level out the HP totals.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, here in the semi-final stages, this is when, this is the penultimate series of the entire event here at the Esports World Cup. If there's ever a time to demonstrate complete mastery, at least the possible mastery at this point during the 4v4 cycle, it's got to be right here. Ibsen, what other, from where we are right now, coming into stage 4, how do you see the rest of this game playing out?
Yeah, I mean, the tempo has been slow. As you said in the beginning, Stuart, only 2 components at the start. People have been actually greeding a lot in terms of units. For example, we saw Vitality slamming items that helping in the early game, but then they couldn't close it out. Now they're being a little more greedy. So we saw a lot of components now. Being the stage 4, they will really start to be aggressive. So now we will see all of those Syndra players contemplating going to level 8, contemplating transferring to the Karma comp, and who will hit will be important. There we will be seeing the Kodma 3.
And interestingly enough, every single member of Twisted Minds all went to level 7. So they're all trying to play this either tempo or they're all trying to go to level 7 to try and stabilize their board. Obviously for Hwame here, going to level 7, trying to get them extra kneelers is super important, especially with this Caretaker's ally. It really depends on how much you can get in terms of the reroll. At the moment, it looks like he has 6 kneelers, so still needs a little bit more left. But it's super interesting because the likes of Bobe and Bintum, we just saw Bintum in the picture get that Kog'Maw 3-star. But 2 of them staying on level 6, but everyone on Twisted Minds trying to preserve HP and play tempo.
Yeah, the level of coordination we're seeing from Twisted Minds, and as you said before, Stuart, the depth of strategy is really amazing.
Yeah, Syndra 3 now finally for 60 seconds. So he achieved exactly what he wanted it. Only 2 items, but this will enable the rest of the lobby will have to pivot out and we'll have to go for the Karma.
What? All right. Well, we got something a little bit different here. All right, Snowy calls the Chaos, and Chaos answers.
Hway's definitely Chaos. I mean, it's Chaos to go 8th, that's for sure. I don't know if he wants to keep that Hway. I don't know about you. I would probably sell it and just keep on rolling.
Yeah, it's more than 20 gold. We want that gold exactly right now. It's more useful that way. I mean, Wei is a unit, but obviously it's not a unit.
It's not a unit. Let's be honest with you.
That's what you want to see.
It's just an instance, though. I mean, that's a lot of gold for Snowy, though. I mean, level 8 with 50 gold already. Obviously, the call to Chaos definitely helping out. Obviously, could have got a better 3 cost in the end, unfortunately not being able to. But just funneling more gold into Snowy means that he's able to try and push levels and try and even go to level 9 because he already has a Karma 2-star as well. So that will allow him to be super stable in terms of his board and try and push levels to try and get that win condition.
Then he's going to be very close to get the blue buff on her as well. The front line very, very slow for Snowy. And we said before, he's shown great resilience in other games. It looks like this game will be no different.
Yeah, Bobe's position here, slamming a defensive action here on the Syndra. Normally, we don't see it. We prefer to see pure tanks and pure mana generation. So he decides to go for the Hextech Gunblade on the Syndra, so his capping board will not be amazing. He's holding Kassadin still, Cassiopeias, and I don't like the spot for Bobe. So top spot here for T1.
Second time we're seeing multi-striker here on the Neela. We've seen this, I believe it was yesterday. I can't remember which player it was exactly, but seeing that Neela, using the Neela and using the Caretaker's allies to adjust and actually play the multi-striker is a super unique composition. As you can see, really close to Kassadin 3 and also Neela 3 as well. So super interesting spot to be in for Hwame.
Yeah, Kali 3 just completed as of that round as well. This board has great potential, even we're seeing the Neela being swiped away by a few other players just to keep it out of the pool. Right now, of course, Hwame hasn't fully got the board online, so may have to wait a little bit before we start to see that big streak coming through. We do, of course, we haven't talked about it yet, have the Eldritch Emblem in place for Hwame as well to give him some even bigger cap to look for.
Yeah, it gives them the guard that comes and helps the team. Normally a little CC, a little more tankiness to help support the team and scale a little more into the late game. Bintium and CUA No, only Bintium maintains the win streak. This is huge because now T1 will have that hero player for sure, and Ziyue, who was the one that was contemplated to be the hero one, now with this loss, he will need to ramp up again. So better spot at least on the top for Bintium and T1.
And Ziyue going for the Radiant Shojin in the end as well, as we know one of the highest caps that you can get with Syndra, going for the Prismatic to help him out with that one. But across the whole board, I think in terms of augments, you know, no real big surprises. Maybe the surprise on the Bintum, maybe going for the extra emblem on the Cogmore.
Well, I mean, just Bintum in general. Yeah, we've seen the Cosmo composition as a kind of comp to shoot for 5th and 6th and things. Not usually as a composition to lead the lobby and actually be providing significant pressure to the rest of your opponents.
Yeah, and now we're seeing exactly that with the Kog'Maw also flexibly. Now we're seeing some positional changes as we know. There's the Akali. There's a significant amount of multi-striker that can access the backline, so positioning now will be most important. So maybe there will be a change in the last moment to the right for Bintium, that's it. So all tanks to the right, and now is where they're communicating. They're saying, okay, funnel all the damage to the left, we'll put tanks to the right. So everyone is actually talking together to make sure that if they face each other, it's good for them. If they face the enemy, at least they are not hurting themselves so much. So good teamwork, and that's the communication that we started seeing now on Stage 4 mainly.
Yeah, and of course, you know, that's been one of the sort of secret texts of the players we've been talking about. I guess we can reveal it now that Alan ZQ's Team Zero Genasi is out of the corner. He was talking about that as well. That it's so, you know, it's something which you really use to show your team's skill. You can pull off very quickly, especially shifting the entire teams left and right to make that kind of strategy work.
No, I think there's so much strategy to a 4v4 that maybe we don't even know about yet as well, you know, because for us it's also the first time it's a 4v4 tournament. So I think just seeing a different side of teamfight tactics and seeing a different side of what can actually be played in the game, it's super nice to see. It's like a breath of fresh air, really, in terms of the format and in terms of seeing how the communication can work in such a strategical game. God, that's a...
The strategies are very complicated, to be fair. Well, I think it's going to be tough to keep track of all of them, but for Dunizuni, we've got the Preserver there, who's, we've seen the Preserver Warrior from before, because of course, we've got 2 Warrior, we don't have, you know, we don't have too much to worry about because Fiora's up to 2-star right now, and we've got some decent itemization waiting to be transferred on the backline as well. Yeah,
there's a Fiora getting good damage in, so once again, that Preserver line going for it, good items for her. He doesn't access the backline, and that's what you want to see in the Fiora, but she's still alive. She's ramping up. The Sterda has deactivated, so she has that additional burst of power going into them. The Syndra still making good damage. The Ginsu is being stacked for her. So it could be either way. The Fiora falls up. The Nasus is going to gameplay and takes it away. This is huge because now the HP is more important than ever. 60 seconds, only 10 HP.
3 members of Twisted Minds now sitting in the bottom 3. So the likes of 60 Second, Huame and Snowy losing that last round means that they have to play catch-up now. It seems that Dinozuni's board is not looking too bad. If he can get a Karma instead of the Zillion, it could be a huge upgrade. Has that kind of front line already. Now has a Morgana as well to go for another Preserver, so even more healing for the team as well. Has Rakan 2-star front line. So after this round, we're probably going to be seeing Dinozuni roll down. If he can hit the Karma, especially Karma 2, this could be an incredibly strong board.
Yeah, and of course, you know, the more members you can keep from falling into, ideally, the bottom 7th and 8th, the better. But you're right, we've got very tight HP from 4th place all the way down. So we've seen plenty of volatile lobbies across the tournament. We'll see how this one plays.
Gwen 2.
Okay, good. No Karmas. So that Cillian you're seeing in the bottom right is not a Cillian, it's a Karma that's doing Cillian cosplay. And no, so you want to have the real Karma right now. Let's see if he can find it. He finds a pair of Morgana, but not enough. So he will need to wait with this. 60 seconds now. Only 10 HP. He needs to win. He rolled down, tried to find a good charm here, combat charm. And he's going against the Nila 3.
Oh boy, we'll see if the fully unleashed power is worth it. Do you remember, of course, Huame was building up more power as they go. The multi-striker Nila will start cutting through the front line, but gets CC for a decent chunk of time. We've of course got the Xerath just plinking away from the corner, but Nila is very hard to put down. The CC is key, but you can see on the side, Nasus is still staying up and fighting. We're exchanging front lines for back lines, but I think the Nasus has maybe, no, not quite got it.
Good loss, actually, in the end. I feel like, no, not bad loss, but I feel like it definitely, Huame seems to be in a much better position now with all the 3 stars being upgraded. It was a pretty close loss in the end. 60 second, we thought he had the Syndra 3-star, but it must have been the charm to actually upgrade one of his 2 costs to a 3-star. So I think that's where we got a little bit baited. Sometimes it could be a little bit difficult to catch out. But yeah, in the end, 60-second, just his board in general has not really been able to cap out. Hasn't found any of the likes of the Karma, which is such a contested unit as well.
I want to bring into the conversation, because it's been so many part of so many rounds so far, how important it is to be able to find these charms at this kind of point in the game, just to hold on for a round longer.
Yeah, they need to use it for combat whenever they need, and they actually, and also for the setup. Both of them in the bottom, they have the setup, so that will mean the more charm you have, the most true damage it will be. So last life here, Snow is out, and 60-second, I think he will be alive, he's safe. But with this loss, Snow is opening the door for T1 to take it. So we have the first elimination here. It's an 8th. And now Twisted doesn't want to hold 7. Remember, if the 2 worst players in placement of your team go 8 and 7, you need a 1-2. And that's very hard. So you don't want to do the 8-7. You want to have a little more breathe time and area. And now once again, the roll down. And at Euro 7 counter, we need a combat charm if we want to stay alive.
So he didn't actually pick the combat charm in the end. Interestingly enough, he actually tried to go for more powerhouse. He went for the charm that you can get one of each every 4 costs, which I believe is a Xerath charm, if I'm not mistaken. So one of the upgraded charms, the Ascended charms coming in there. Was able to find the Nami 2, but wasn't able to find the Karma 2. So it's
I mean, it's cool. If you buy it quickly and you sell everything, you finish up getting more gold, and then you get the roll down. But you need to be fast, and that's it was great to see it. Cool.
Just keeping an eye on Juanmei on the right-hand side of the screen. We can see the Neela. We'll see
Still
if
alive.
we become believers. She does get cut down. I think a little bit too vulnerable to the crowd control. And the raw damage coming in. Juanmei could be in a bit of trouble here. And gets knocked down and out.
Yeah, this is tough. Once again, 7th and 8th for Twisted Mind. This means that now 60-second and CUA needs to get at 1-2. That's the only possibility for the team to come back down from this series. And remember, this is only the first game, best of 3.
I think it's really hard now for 60-second to try and get into that top 2. I think this is all but secured now for T1 in this game. Unless 60-second can pull something out of the hat, I think it's very difficult for him to actually cap out his board with the likes of Syndra 3, Cassiopeia 3 on the other boards that T1 have got. The Cogmore 3-star board as well. Trying to outcap all of them boards with this type of board at the moment is not looking good, unfortunately, for Twisted Minds.
No, you need something miraculous coming out from the charm. Unfortunately, life insurance is not what... Well, you could probably use it in a more literal sense here in the game, but unfortunately, it's not going to help your board get stronger. 60-second, if he drops, this game is done for Twisted Minds and early. But Dunizuni, SCSC, we can see they're both low on HP themselves.
They're going to be coming up against each other. Can the Furor get into the back line?
Dunizuni. We have got the Karma with the items now. Promised from before. She should be able to get a good cut through. The wave will at least deny a little bit of time. We see the Nasus in the center surviving hugely. 60-second, it's feeling the opening time. It's all going wrong so quickly for Twisted Minds. Last gasp, and they are going to be all kinds of done. We will play out the rest of the lobby, but that will be it. 3 members of Twisted Mind in the bottom 4 means that they are down in the series 0-1.
We see the happiness, we see the fist going up here for T1, so they're happy. They know they played well. They know they push the line when they really need to, and they play. I love the way they play. Stura Boba getting in a moment he was in a dire position, but then everything 3-star for him. The Syndra, the Casio, so actually holding up resources to do exactly what they needed. Ramp up in the exact moment, and then don't stop the pedal and go for the full tempo play and get the 3 of Twisted Mind out as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Well, we obviously saw earlier on that Twisted Minds, all of their players were playing tempo. There wasn't really anyone on their board playing reroll except for maybe the multicasters, but even then that was to do with the Caretaker's allies helping out with leveling. But you can see T1 with the Cogmore reroll, this Syndra reroll as well, realizing the situation that everyone on Twisted Minds wasn't rerolling. So they were like, okay, this is our time to reroll, this is our time to spike and knock out the rest of the Twisted Minds. And that's exactly what they were able to do.
And that has been so infrequently the case in other games. You know, either nobody is rerolling or everybody has to reroll just to stop exactly this situation. This feels like, you know, a real problem that Twisted Minds are going to need to correct for in Game 2.
Yeah, once again, Bintium being the support player and now a rock, here for the team, helping so much. And I love to see, because we have seen improvement, at least in the amount of communication that T1 has been doing. In the start, they were more passive in communication maybe, but now we see them talking all the time, reacting to whatever is happening in the game. Obviously, Stuart sometimes is able to translate a little what they're saying, or we can assume a little what I can say. I can say 안녕하세요, 감사합니다, hello, thank you, but that's what I have. So,
I don't even know that.
No?
So you're already one step ahead of me. You should be the one
for
translating, not me.
Yeah. The Korean, there's one more I know.
Oh.
Like, go fast, tempo. They say pali pali.
Pali Pali.
So pali pali is go fast, go fast. So they played a pali pali, and because of this, it was actually perfect. They eliminated the Twisted Mind 3 times in the bottom. So great play, very happy for T1. Also a heads up to the coach. We're seeing him also in the interview. A great guy, so smiley, so friendly with the team. And actually, we didn't talk about that so much in the pre-phase counter. Like the company itself, T1 has been supporting so much the players that they are being able to perform not only in the village but in the 44. So that's what you want to see here in this new format.
It makes all the difference in the world. I mean, particularly, it was so many of our teams, so many players across the entire tournament be able to play under these incredible banners, some of them fielding TFT teams for the very first time. Certainly T1 looking great in this first game. And I think, having those kind of resources, it helps meet the players where they're at and say, you put in the effort, the org will match it.
I think the big thing as well is that people probably underestimate how much a coach can make a difference as well in TFT. A player that actually doesn't play does play the game, of course, but doesn't actually play the game actively and can look at the game from a different perspective. Being able to understand the situations of games, actually calm the players down, allow them to mentally get prepared for tournaments is such an underrated thing in TFT. We know in other esports it's such a normal role, but in TFT it's the first time we've really seen coaches actually step up and be in this type of format.
Well, particularly with this 4v4 tournament, being as rewarding as it is, that level of investment makes sense for the teams to be in there to unlock their true potential here as we see the last few rounds play out again. T1 have this game locked down, but just, going for MVP points and such as well. From your side of things, particularly from the Twisted Mind side of things, coming into game 2, we've already talked about the not match and the rerolls, but is there anything, rather than what they need to avoid doing, which in this case missing out on that kind of part of the game, is there anything you'd like to see them more proactively doing themselves?
No, I think they play well with the cards they get given. I think what they need is actually that the game plan goes according to what they practice. And they practice so many games that that's not difficult to be performed. So I think obviously the way the tempo play was played, I think it's more that T1 played great than that Twisted Mind made some mistakes. So actually, clean sleep for the next game. Let's see what the game provides us. Let's try to have a good game plan from the start and execute. And I really believe that Twisted Mind can tie the series and even win it. But of course, T1 is looking amazing right now.
And this isn't the first time that T1 has had Twisted Minds have had a setback as well. They've had setbacks before. They've been able to mentally reset as well and get into a position where they can come back as well. So this is a time that we know the game is done. This is a time for them to communicate. This is a time for them to say, okay, we need a different plan going into game number 2. This plan of all of us going tempo didn't really work out. The only reroll being the multi-strikers, which didn't cap out, unfortunately. And there was just not much denial, I feel like, on Twisted Mind's side. With Sinja 3, Casio 3, Cogmore 3, all these rerolls going over to T1, Twisted Mind didn't pick any of them up or deny any of them across the board.
I mean, to pick up on what you're saying there, Stuart, with the first game versus MSJ, they did directly say it was from underestimating their opponents. I do wonder, coming into this one, what Twisted Minds thought of T1, what level of threat they would have expected from them. Certainly T1 have had a great run through the tournament so far. They have gone to 3 games in 2 of their 3 series. Whereas for Twisted Minds, again, we talked about, they've had the 6 games in a row of victories, which have now been ended as of this game.
Yeah, for the question that you were asking just yesterday, Toronto Ultra was talking about this. They got the game, and Twisted Mind, T1 and Toronto Ultra were